all the metal parts, all the metal surfaces have some oil on them, and they've been scrubbed with a non-abrasive nylon bristle brush, which in the Marine Corps we used to call these like a general purpose brush, AP brush, all-purpose brush, whatever. Same basic idea. So now I got that done. Put that aside and just let it sit there. And then you take your upper slide, do the same thing. Just a couple of drops, man. You don't want to put too many drops. And then a drop or two on the brush, the brush itself. And get in there real good. Get out any dust, gunk, grease, buildup. If there is any carbon, get it out. Which, like I said, I haven't shot it, so there's no carbon. But scrub it down. Elbow grease. All the hard to reach places, like behind there, which is where the firing pin is. You can see the firing pin right there. Get in there. Little nooks and crannies and stuff like that. And these brushes do a good job. Just gotta be thorough. You know, as you're cleaning it, pay attention to what you're doing so that you don't miss little spots and stuff like that. You want to get it as thorough as you can. Okay, and then when it comes to the surface of the face of the bolt, which is right here, this surface, you want to keep it from having oil lean back. So don't put a lot of oil there. I wouldn't even put a drop there. Just keep the little oil on your brush and then have it aim down and then hit the face of that, the bolt face of the breech. Scrub it really good. Now the gravity's gonna pull it away from, because there's a little hole right there where the firing pin is, and you don't want oil and gunk to get in there, because it could possibly cause a malfunction if you get too much oil in there. Again, hit all the surfaces, everywhere where you can see that this thing can reach, and just get in there really good, man. Just be thorough. And then the good thing is that for the extractor, which is right there, you can use the skinny part and get right up in there like that. And it gets right underneath that extractor. So if there is anything in there, you can get it from the bottom as well, so you can make sure you're thorough. So now I have a clean extractor. And that's a fact. All right, so clean that. All the metal surfaces. And on the outside as well, I get the front side area because there's like a bunch of little pockets right there. So you want to get in there. You're not going to hurt the sight. And then same thing with the rear sight. And then the surface of the upper slide, the outside, in between the grooves on the serrations in the back, the cocking serrations. Get that. Notice I haven't put any more oil. That just those couple of drops is enough to cover the surface of the gun and the internals. You don't need a lot of oil. do not want to over lubricate. It's just a waste of oil, so don't waste the oil. You may need it one day. Again, after this cleaning. Okay, so that pretty much gets that out of the way. So we've cleaned this, scrubbed it down, lubricated it. Cleaned this, scrubbed it down, lubricated it. Now what you want to do is these little screws I'm going to put in here so I don't lose them. Now that seals up so I can keep them in there. Now you want to do is drop the oil on the barrel. Not a whole lot. Wipe it down. Same thing, you want to, scrub it down a little bit. It hasn't been fired, so it's not like there's any carbon or anything. A little bit of oil, a little bit of elbow grease. And again, there's no carbon fouling because I haven't fired it, but I still get inside the barrel. Just to oil the inside of the barrel. You want a little lubricant anywhere there's metal so that there's no rust and corrosion. So I'm going all the way inside, maybe even put a drop of oil so that you can coat the inside of the barrel. And just spin it. Spin it around. So I can do. And that's it. So it's looking nice and lubricated. Again, there's no abrasive action going on inside the barrel. It's just, nylon surface. Now this guide rod doesn't even get dirty. You just barely touch a little oil onto it and then rub it down. Rub that down. Same thing with the spring. My hands are still oily, so I just rub it down. Rub it down. And these magazines, what you do with them, it's real simple. You get a sharp object like a punch or an ink pen, which works fine. You see a little tab right there. Push that in. When you push it in, it starts moving. Be careful because it's under spring tension, so you capture it with your thumb. I'll show you that in a second. Take off this plastic part, and as you see, this comes off. This little part right here is metal with that little tab. And here's the spring, and then here's the tip of the follower. All I do is basically drop of oil, just a drop. Go inside, and you're lubricating the magazine is what you're doing. Making sure there's no rust, no corrosion. And no carbon buildup. Just give it a nice little light coat on the inside. Doesn't take a whole lot to clean the inside of one of these, because you're just putting a little light coat. And then my hands are still oily, so I wipe down the stainless steel surface, which gives the magazine a light coat of oil, lubricating it. And it's already lubricated on the inside and cleaned. So now what I do is I put it back together, but I want to put a little light coat of this too. Okay, so what you do is you put it back together. Real simple. Put the follower back on the skinny part. Put that in there like that. You'll see how it matches up. Pretty basic. And then it pushes up to the top like that. Now when you go to the back, you keep tension on it. You push down on the spring. You get your little piece right here. Make sure that's wiped down. And there, get your finger out of the way. And you just hold it down. Like that. Real simple. And then you grab your little huya here with the little hole in it. And you put it on from this side. Just put that together. And they snap back into place. The little tab pops back in. And then you'll see in the back. If it looks like that, it's properly done. See how they both look the same? So this one is the one I just did. Wipe it down a little bit. With the carbon fiber towel. And put this off to the side. And then what I want to do also is let me put this back together. And you've got to make sure when you put this together, you put it in the right way instead of that way. You'll feel the tension. There's a tighter side and then a looser side. You'll feel it. Put it on the tighter side. That's cleaned up good, so I'm going to put it aside. This is also cleaned up good. I'm going to put that aside. And the reason I'm doing all that is because I want to wipe down the surface of this frame with the microfiber towel. You get inside there. You can check it with the light, make sure there's no grease or gunk or dust or whatever. Check it with your light. So that's why I say bring a flashlight, because you shine light on something, you can see dust or whatever, debris or carbon fouling or whatever. And then just get in there, and if you really want to get a little more technical, you use the surface of this, and you get in those little hard to reach areas. Like I said, you want to be as thorough as you possibly can be. This thing is going to save your life potentially one day. So get in there. Another little trick, same thing here. In the magazine well, you can see that. And it goes all the way through to the top. That's being thorough. Now the inside is done there. So I know that is clean on the inside. And do it from the top, same thing. Makes a big difference. Pull it out. Whip it out real good. I'm just being thorough, and that's just because of my military background. I want to get everywhere. It's just the Marine in me wanting to be a good example. Wipe it down, wipe it down. Okay, now I got that. Now wipe down the surface. wipe down the surface really good, because we're going to put it together and we're going to put a light coat. All right, so I think we are good to go. Generally speaking, these little microfiber towels really were a good invention, whoever came up with them, because they last. You can wash them and then reuse them and stuff like that. You just want to make sure you're using it for the same function. If you're going to use it to clean your firearm, after you wash it, use it for that same function. And don't wash this with your clothes. Wash it in a bucket with some like Dawn dishwashing liquid or something like that. But don't wash it with your clothes. Don't be that guy. All right, so now that I've about as thoroughly as I can get, I've got all these little surfaces, you know, clean, clean, clean. Wipe down, wipe down, wipe down. It's important. So, get the other side. In between the rails. And back here, behind the frame. And that's it, man. I think we got a pretty clean gun here. It's not perfect, but it needed it. Now what you do is, same thing here, just wipe it down. This one's a lot easier because this is more outside surface. Less moving parts and stuff like that. Just a big old hunk of steel. Wipe it down, wipe it down, wipe it down. Wipe down the face of that bore right there, that breech. That part right there. Wipe it down. Get on the inside. Wipe it down. See, the oil penetrates the metal. So you think it's dry, but it's really not. You're just taking off the excess oil. Again, you don't want to have this thing with a lot of excess oil because it's going to attract dust and stuff like that. Okay, so we're good to go. What I'm going to do now, this is the other magazine, so I'll make sure I put it aside. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to wipe down these grips one more time on the surface, making sure that those washers are still in place, which they are. You don't want to lose those. Wipe down the inside again, just making sure there's no grease in there, no oil. Thoroughly wipe the stuff down. Once again, just being a jarhead, Marine, being squared away. Okay, so now this is wiped down, and what you do now is put those on first. How this works is you got to make sure that it fits underneath, as you see. sure, for sure. Okay, so it goes underneath there. It's kind of a pain, but just kind of, there you go. Fit it in, clicks in, and then you'll see in the back, this back part, they come together, and then everything looks like it fits properly here. And on this side, that's what you want. Once you get it that way, you can now retrieve the screws that you wipe down. Which they have a little bit of oil. You don't really need a lot with those, but they do have just a tiny bit, which is on my hand, so it's super light, but that helps. Again, you don't want to over lubricate this firearm, any firearm for that matter. Make sure the threads catch. Don't over tighten it. You can feel it when the threads catch, and then boom, don't over tighten it again. So now what you do is you equally tighten, because you're gonna have washers on there, so you don't have to worry about stripping anything. The washers keep things flat against the surface of the washer. So you just do a little quarter turn here, quarter turn there, and you can get a feeling for how tight it needs to be. And that's it. You don't want to go over tight. Flip it over, do the same thing. Let the threads grab. Tighten it down to where it's just a little tension. And then you want to evenly tighten these screws down against the surface of that washer. Okay, so there. I feel a little tension, so I go back and forth. Tension there, and then equal tension there, and then equal tension there. Like little quarter turns, little 1/8 turns, whatever, 1/16 turns. Until you know that it's like you torque it down. It's been torqued down. And that's it. Wipe it down one last time. And this was very necessary. It was really needed. It absolutely was time. This gun was ready to be cleaned. All right, so now that I've done that, okay, good to go. So this is the one that I cleaned. So what I do is first take my guide rod end spring and the barrel that's been cleaned. Drop the barrel in. Make sure it's seated. It's called a locking lug. So that locking lug, it's a fixed locking lug. That was what I was trying to say earlier. Make sure that's seated, and then you put the guide rod and spring together, pushing on it so it grabs against the locking lug. And that is now back together. The upper slide is reassembled, which doesn't take long. Yeah, what I like to do is I'll cock the gun, cock the hammer, and then line up the rails. lock that to the rear, flip that horizontal on the takedown lever, pull back, let it ride home, decock it, run it a couple of times, decock, fire it, pull it back while the finger's still on the trigger, release, audible click, fire again, audible click. Function check, that's what that was, and it functions as designed. Gun is now cleaned and lubricated, and then I get the magazine that I cleaned. Make sure it is devoid of excess oil and dust and any fuzzies. And the cool thing about it is this microfiber towel, they don't give off a lot of fuzzies. Insert the magazine. Now I got a clean magazine instead of a clean gun, and put it back on that surface. And not to bore you, but this will be the other thing I cleaned, right? So you already saw how I did that. So this came in handy. Screwdriver, some type of an oil or lubricant, a bristle brush with nylon, with the short end, with the skinny end and the big end, and flashlight, cleaning cloth or microfiber, and some common sense, a little bit of elbow grease. Now I'm going to wash my hands with like Dawn liquid or some kind of dishwashing liquid to get the grease off my hands. And I got a clean gun. Now only thing I got to do is later on I'll fill the magazine with 8+1 rounds in the chamber. These magazines hold 8 rounds, as you can see there. It says the number 8. So it's 8 bullets plus 1 more in the chamber. That's 9 rounds on deck. And then I fill this magazine up with 8 rounds, because it came with 2 magazines when I bought it, which I think they should have at least given you 3 from Sig. Come on, Sig. $1,000 gun, you're only going to give us 2 magazines, and these magazines are like $40 each. Could at least throw in a third magazine. But anyway, that's the cleaning and lubrication, a basic takedown and cleaning and lubrication without a detail cleaning, but just a kind of a maintenance lubrication for the Sig P220R. So anybody out there who has a Sig P220, or if you're thinking about getting one, I hope I help somebody out. If you have some more techniques on just doing a basic maintenance lubrication, let me know. This is from what the materials that I have available to me at the moment. I just do my best. You can always spend money and get some more high-tech gear, but you can get the job done low-tech, as you just saw, with just some oil and a toothbrush, screwdriver, microfiber, and some common sense safety and a flashlight. Alright, so that's it. Thanks for watching. You guys are awesome. Staff Sergeant Calhoun, out.